We got another question here. David, I'm an American with a vacation property in Ontario. The property has both a home and a cabin on it. When we purchased the place, we let the person who was living in it in the little cabin stay on as a caretaker. He died a couple of years ago, and now that cabin is vacant. We've debated about renting it out for maybe a couple of $100 a month, just to have somebody out there sort of watching the property. Question is, what are the tax issues in doing this? We don't want our land to be considered rental property.
Well, for Canadian tax purposes, if you're a non-resident of the United States, a non-resident of Canada, it doesn't matter whether it's rented or not rented. It's still taxable at exactly the same gain. There's not a...
Oh, this is capital gain, though, not...
Well,
I'm talking about rental.
Well, no, but he doesn't
income.
want it to be considered to be, but and I'm sure he's there for talking about capital gains in the future.
No, he's talking about it. Well, okay.
Well, read it to me again.
The amount we'd rent it for doesn't really add up to a whole lot, maybe $3,500 a year. Do we need to file with CRA? So he's talking about the actual...
If you rent it for $10 for one day in the whole year, you got to file a tax return with Revenue Canada. And the tax return you'd file would be a Form 1159 under Section 216 Bracket 4 of the Tax Act. So you can go to the CRA website and download Form 1159, T1159. You have to file a T776 with it to report the rental income, and before you rent it, you should file another form called an NR6. And the NR6 requires a Canadian resident, that could be your tenant, to sign as the agent for you for your Canadian tax return. It allows you to calculate what the actual profit will be from your $3,500 a year rent. So if you calculate the $3,500 rent and it works out that you're losing $5,000 or you're spending $5,000 of your share of this land, taxes, repairs and maintenance and power and so on, to produce the $3,500, you're spending $5,000, there's going to be no tax to Canada whatsoever. If it turns out that after you take your percentage of the property tax and your percentage of repairs and maintenance and your percentage of power if you're providing it, you actually make $1,000, your tax to Canada would be about $250. After you've done that, you take the figures that are on the T776 and the 1159. If you made a profit, let's say $1,000, the tax in Ontario is going to be about $250. Might be $271. Don't call me a liar if I'm wrong in that, because I don't know what it will actually be, because it's not in my head. In BC it would be $237. I know that one. Anyway, but Ontario's higher. So you take those figures and you put the figures from the T776 on a U.S. Schedule E, and you put the figures that are any tax you paid on the T1159 on Form 111116, and then you claim a foreign tax credit for that tax on the U.S. return. And remember, your property taxes, and if you are paying interest on your vacation home in Canada, the property taxes and the interest on the mortgage are deductible on your U.S. Schedule A. Now, I don't know if that answers enough for what he's doing. It answers the question.
I think it does.
Have to do a Canadian tax return. Now, let me make a comment. I'm going to charge you for doing the Canadian part of that, likely $600, something like that. But if you get $3,500 in, you got somebody watching your property, and you had to pay $200 tax, you're still a couple of $1,000s ahead of the game by doing the rental tax return. It will not, absolutely will not increase the tax on the capital gains when you sell the property in the future.
Now, here's a question for you. Is the person who's living there for such a low rent getting a taxable benefit?
Well, it depends of what they're doing. If the people before were paying $200 a month and now he's talking about charging $300 a month, depends where it is. If it's the next door neighbor had a suite in the house for a long time and they charged $850 a month.
Yep.
So if they gave the suite to somebody for $200 a month
then they've got
$650 to look after the place for them because they're out of town all the time, then the $600 extra becomes a taxable benefit to the person getting the suite. To the person who's getting it, that's right. Same thing if somebody's a caretaker in a 12-suite apartment block and gets a free apartment. They're taxed for doing that bit. They're taxable on the rental value of the apartment.
Off-grid guy in here sticks one in and he says, what if you're a dual citizen? Can you do your own NR6 then?
No, you can't. Well, you don't do a DNR6 if you're in the States. Well, actually, I'm going to make a comment. I had
That's a
never,
good one.
whether you're a dual citizen or not, it's irrelevant.
It's
I had never seen anybody do this, but I now actually have two people that have done their own NR6s someplace. They've posted post-dated checks and all the rest of it
Yep.
to the government, but it's not the rule. If you just phoned up and applied for it type of thing, I don't think it...
so it has to be somebody in
It's
Canada.
supposed to be a resident of Canada.
A resident
And
of Canada.
since our off-grid guy is in Canada, right?
Different set of laws when you're talking about something that's rented down in the States. Completely different.
Different set of laws.
Yeah.
The Canadian ones are more harsh in this position than the
Yep.
U.S. ones are.
Yep.
So, good question, off-grid guy.
Yep.
I do know of two people that are that are acting as their own agent.
The question is whether or not they just haven't got caught yet.
No, they've got they're doing it officially through the
Okay.
through CCRA. They send it in, and CRA is happy with them.
Ha!
Now, a warning: the person that signs the
NR6.
NR6 is liable for the tax if the tax
Right.
return's not done on time. The tax return, the Canadian tax return, has to be done by June the 30th.
So they truly are an agent.
They are an agent of
They are an
agent
and
of the government.
And they are the agent rules are fairly stringent.
You got it.
Yep.
So this is cool. You got questions. This is
Yeah.
that question is the first question that we've taken on the internet since we started this thing. We conceived of it a year and a half ago and really
the
got
first
going last
live
March.
online because you take questions
Well, I
on
got
the internet
I
all
got,
the time.
I got a stack.
You
I
got
got a stack of
them there.
questions there.
Come on.
But this is the first one we've taken live
From a chat, yeah.
from a chat room
That is-
as we
Now,
do it.
Of course, now we're off topic. We weren't going to talk about tax anymore. We were going to talk about the
Why
internet.
not?
But that's fine. I thought we were changing away from the financial side of things.
Well, but it is going into tax season. It's going into tax season.
All right.
This is
Flip
how
a
I
switch.
make. This
We're
is how I
back.
make my living. You
We're-
make your money through the computers, so you want to talk about computers. I make my money. So you get guys, and we took a long question from
Yep.
off-grid guy about computers,
Yep,
and then he
yep,
swung it into tax. That was sort of
That's
cool.
great.
And I'll make a bet that he was watching it because of income tax in the first place. So
Anything's
he
possible.
got into it.
Well,
Well, off-grid guy, send Richard a thing. Tell him,
Yeah.
were you watching because of you knew we were going to do something on computers, or were you watching?
he's
'cause
got
you had
one
a
more
tax
last
question?
tax question.
Okay, who's got a last tax question?
Off-grid guy.
Oh, he does. Okay. No, Mitchell's
Mitchell's
typing
going to chime
in
something
here.
in there.
All right. So have we
We
got
have to
a
give me a camera to play with so I can show Mitchell doing this.
Well, you can just go on and
Yeah. Oh, wife got me doing taxes.
say again? I feel left out. I don't have a computer in front of me. I don't want to.
that one was supposed to be anyway.
I saw your 5 o'clock email. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you saw your 5 o'clock.
Off-grid guy is on your list.
Okay.
He's on your email list.
But did he phone because of, did he really watch because of income tax or because of
or because of the
computers?
internet.
Because of the internet. What part was it that was his biggest part? That's all I want to know. And you're going to, there's no bets here. Nobody's going to win any money, but it's just interesting. And of course, he got the email because he was on the tax list.
Now, if you actually
Okay.
if you actually want
He
to,
says because of tax.
there is a poll now, so
Yeah.
you can click
Yeah.
on whether it was
Yeah.
tax or others that you.
Oh, you put a poll on there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
And I did send an email saying we were going to be talking about this stuff. So.
actually, the wife won. I'm doing taxes.
Well, wives tend to win lots of times,
Oh,
don't
yes,
they?
yes.
Mind you, I have 7 ex-wives, so
Well, you realize
you've only
the
got
wives,
one ex-wife.
I only have one ex-wife. Yes, had a starter wife, and now I have my 30. Well, we haven't been married 30 years, but we've been living together for more than 30 years now. You know, that's
It's a long time.
a long time.
Shirley, you have my sympathy.
Respect, hopefully.
No, she has my sympathy. And you know
But-
where you find sympathy.
Yes.
It's in the dictionary between
Yeah.
shit and syphilis.